Hey YouTube! Happy Rollercoaster Day! In case you didn't know that it was already that day, but to be fair, most of you who actually watch my channel would know that. I know it looks like I'm looking off into the thing, but I'm actually just looking at the phone, but I have to try and stare at the camera, which is really weird because I can see myself out of the corner of my eye on my phone. I don't find it's weird around the parks. I don't know, maybe I constantly look weird like this. Um, but I thought as it's the Rollercoaster Day, I should run down my top 10s. So this video is going to be my top 10 UK coasters. I'm also going to do a top 10 world coasters thing. I'm not going to bother editing loads on this, so I'm sorry, I know I look like crap. I literally just come out the shower because I tried to do this all fancy and stuff and record on my computer and read a list off my phone, but it just decided to crash on me, and now I can't be asked. But I still want to do it, just not in too much detail. So I'm looking over there because I've got the list on my computer. So at number 10 for the UK coasters, we have Nemesis Inferno, which is located at Thorpe Park. Nearest train station is Staines for anyone who wants to go there. You can get buses there from the train station or from the bus station there, quite easy to get to from Heathrow as well. So on Piccadilly line, if you're using the underground, Heathrow T5, and then get off and get the bus to Staines, and then from Staines you can catch the Thorpe Park bus, which comes pretty regularly. I would watch times getting back though, if you're using the buses, just because it's a little bit awkward then to get to Heathrow if you're doing things that way. But yeah, Nemesis Inferno, it's inverted, it's a great ride. It's not too rough or anything like that, it's just a nice smooth little inverted coaster. And some nice loops and stuff on it. It's just a fun ride. It's well themed. The operations on it are really good. And yeah, so that's my number 10. Now number 9 would be the original Nemesis, which is at Alton Towers. Nearest train station for that one would be either Stoke-on-Trent or Uttoxeter. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it's about 20 quid in a cab, at least from Stoke-on-Trent, to get there, and then 20 quid back. So it's a bit more of an awkward or expensive park to get to if you're using public transport. There is a bus that goes in summer, which is £10 return, but it only goes literally once a day there and once a day back, so you've got to watch timings a little bit, and you haven't really got time to muck about and shop or whatever at the end of the day, unfortunately on that one. But it's a quite forceful coaster. It's got a beautifully themed station with this sort of monster thing around it and bits of track which isn't actually the track, that's got sort of the monster wrapped around it, which is seriously cool. Again, pretty good operations, very rough, but good rough, not massive headbanger, and more you feel the force when you're going around on that one. Again, I'd always recommend with Nemesis and Nemesis Inferno back row, and most coasters back row, to be fair, you tend to get a bit more of the force. That's fantastic. Number 8 would be the Walking Dead ride at Thorpe Park. Now, this one did take a little while for me to warm up to be perfectly honest. Because I did love X with sort of the rave music, and it was just good fun, really. But after going through it a few times, the horror theming in it is pretty damn cool. Yes, it doesn't always have actors in, but oh well. And to be fair, it actually is my new favourite thing at Thorpe Park, is to stand at the end of the exit queue and just scare the crap out of people because I can. It's good fun. I haven't got smacked in the face yet, which is incidentally one of the reasons why there's not an awful lot of actors in there sometimes, because the public can't control themselves. But there's more and more effects going into it all of the time. I've heard it's going to be very good. Fright Nights, what they're adding to it, I don't know, but I'd imagine a lot more actors for a start. There's so many nice little details on that ride that it takes more than one run through to notice it, things in the pre-show, certain YouTubers and stuff who are in there, which you might not catch the first time round, tiny things to the side, and Negan's rules and stuff like that. It's such a nice nice themed ride. You've got smell pods in there. They've textured the walls. They've, like, if you listen to the audio carefully when you go around it, as it's sort of talking about, like, as you're walking around, they've got these zones on the walls, and it actually does correlate to the soundtrack of what you're hearing in each bit is correlates to the zones. It's not like on a constant loop. At certain areas have got certain, like, bits that go there, which is really nicely done. They've done some nice work inside on the actual sort of coaster bit itself, like the bit where it, like, stops and, like, jolts back. Like, the more you go on it, the more details you see. Sort of the first time I went on it, or first few times I went on it, I didn't notice that all of the screens at that stop point, all of them show slightly different things. There's more lights and stuff added to it all of the time, more zombie figures added to it now and again. It's just, you notice more and more every time you go on that ride, and to be fair, this time next year it may well even go higher in my list than it already is. I'm not necessarily a fan of The Walking Dead, but I do love horror theming, and it's really, really well done. And a lot of people slate it, but I don't necessarily think that it should be slated. And some of the people who work on that ride work really, really hard. They don't get an awful lot of breaks that I've heard, but they act well, like particularly sort of like in the bit just outside of the queue where they're batching you, and they sort of like have some cool interactions and stuff going on, which is really nice to see that they put the effort in and do that, and they've got makeup on half the time. Sometimes you get a better run than others, but obviously people get tired, and yeah, you can't blame the staff for that, but they do put a lot of effort in on that, and it's a fantastic ride and quite well ran. I like the fact that they batch you pretty much outside, and that you pretty much just sort of walk through, and it's more like an experience. And I like rides like that where it's more of an experience, more than just the coaster itself. So I'm not just rating the coaster itself here, I'm rating it as an experience. It's definitely in my top 10 at number 8. So number 7 we have got the Smiler, which is again is at Alton Towers. Lots of people were like, oh, it's so rough and this and that and too many inversions or whatever else complaints that people have got about it. I really like it. I think it's a good fun ride. It's well themed, the station and stuff, like the stuff that they got going on there. Like, it's not like there's an overall, I don't know how to describe myself. They've just got like nice animations and stuff. It looks cool. And it's a good ride. It gets slated far too much, in my opinion. A few of the twists and turns on it aren't particularly pleasant. I'm not too keen on the 13th one. But it's all good. Like, generally a really good ride. I like the fact that it stops as well briefly after 7, because at that point you're like, whew, it's a little bit much in one go. Particularly as I don't tend to like coasters with that many inversions. But that one is an exception to the rule. Like, I hate Colossus. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Okay, so next up we have 13 Alton Towers. Again, fan-flippin'-tastic ride. Absolutely love it. I mean, there's so many nice little elements in there. I think if you sort of took out some of the elements and it just had like 1 or 2 of them, I don't think it would be in my top 10 even. But just with all the combination of the little things, like the first drop is really good, quite steep. You got some nice little airtime hills in there. The bit where it actually like drops down through the floor is fantastic. Particularly the first time I did it and I didn't really know what to expect. It caught me a little bit by surprise. You got a very short backward section, which I wish was a little bit longer, but and some fantastic airtime. The station is amazing. Like, I love the whole like broken soundtrack is fantastic in that. So that's my number 6, which It's a shame it's been pushed out of my top 5 because I do really love it, but since I've been to Towers again and since I've been to PBB, things have changed a lot in my top 5. So 5, which was previously, I think, my number 3, yep, my number 3, no, 2, number 2, yeah, my number 2, is Stealth, again, at Fort Park. So, fantastic launch on it. Like, you feel that launch. I've not been on other similar top hat rides, unfortunately. I will get on them eventually. I do plan to do Portaventura at some point, and eventually I will ride the King Dakar, so that one will be fun. I've definitely got to build up to that one, though. That's a bit big. But fantastic launch. The views on it are amazing. I love doing it at night. Particularly like seeing all the lights below and stuff is really cool. Particularly if you do front row. Although personally I prefer to do back row on it. You get a bit more force. Again, as I said earlier, most coasters on the back are better. The front is nice for the views, but I wouldn't queue too long extra for the front personally, just because I've done it before. Every now and again I'll queue if it's like not that long of a wait, or I've not waited long for it initially, then I think, yeah, why not do it on the front for a change. Next up, creeping into my top 5 will be something that most people will not agree with me on. Loads of people have said that they don't like it. So many people I know have said that they don't like it and they fear for their life on it. But it's actually the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Nearest train station is literally called, I think, Blackpool Pleasure Beach. The easiest one to get to is probably Blackpool North, depending where you're travelling from. Although some trains do stop there, it's not as frequent as the ones that stop at Blackpool North. Which from there you can get a cab. And the cabs are pretty cheap in Blackpool, to be fair. Even the ones that are just bang outside the station, they're not too expensive. I was expecting it to be a lot more expensive than it was. Also, Uber isn't really much of a thing there, unfortunately, but because that's just what I'm used to. Typical bloody Londoner, in it, like Uber. But yeah, Blackpool's a bit of a bugger to get to if you're coming from south. Like, you've got to sort of figure it out because it's usually quite expensive, but if you break the journey somewhere and buy 2 separate tickets, it tends to work out a lot cheaper. Also, a lot of like cheap places to stay in Blackpool. My recommendation, although it's the only place I've stayed there, to be fair, I did really enjoy it, would be the Clarendon Hotel. Really, really nice staff there, pretty much family run, nice little shows and stuff, but I'll go into that one on another one. Even that, or did I already put that one up? I don't think I did. That's going to be put up at some point, a little vlog of that place, because it was really good, and I was really quite impressed with how they treated me. It was really nice. But yeah, the big one itself, loads of people say that this ride is really rough, and that they're going to come out of their seat and they feel like they're going to die, and how can anyone enjoy it? I think they're mad, to be honest. I love the view from it. I only did it at the front. I haven't done other places on the coast. I will do it at some point whenever I end up going back up there. But it's fantastic views. Like, the coaster itself, it's quite a long one. I wouldn't say it's too rough. I really wouldn't say it's too rough. Particularly given the type of restraints on it as well. It's not... You're not massively, like, hooked in like you are in some rides and banging your head all over the place. Which is good, and I just love it. Stick your arms up at the top. I think it's the UK's tallest coaster. I'm not certain on that fact. I'm pretty sure it is, though. It's like 235 feet. I mean, the one thing I really wouldn't fancy is walking down it if you get stuck on that lift hill, which I did see happen when I was there, which you'll see in the Blackpool Pleasure Beach vlog when I get around to uploading it. Well, probably 2 of them, day 1 and day 2. Sorry guys, it's literally that this doesn't require editing, and I'm just literally talking to the camera rather than whatever, because uni, and I've been doing loads and loads and loads of editing for that, like unreal amounts of editing for that. So there we go. Now we're breaking into my top 3, and number 3 again is at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which would be Icon. Now a lot of people do rate this now as their top UK coaster, and they say like, oh, it's so smooth and launches and it's beautiful and all of this. It is a beautiful coaster. It's elegant. The track's beautiful. The restraints are nice. The coaster itself looks beautiful. Like, the whole sort of area that it's in looks beautiful. I do wish that there was, I don't know, slightly more sort of like theming around. Although the more times you ride it, you do sort of notice like there's some flowers and stuff on the ground as you're going round. It's just, when I sort of saw it online, it looked like there was going to be more interactions with the other rides than there actually was, like more sort of moments where you're coming really, really close to other bits of track, which there is some, but it's just not as many as I thought it would be. I think if there was, it would rate a little bit higher for me, just purely on experience value. I will say something though, the merch for that coaster is awesome. Like, I love this. This is like my new favourite thing in my room. To be honest, I would probably buy half the shop if I could have afforded it, but money's typical, like, skint student, so couldn't really afford to get much. Sad times. But yeah, the stuff for it's really cool. The ride itself, it's nice and smooth. There's a few bits where you can sort of like feel the forces, but it's generally quite smooth. The launch is nice. It's not the most powerful launch in the world, but it's still really nice. And to be perfectly honest, it was a very tough decision, I'd say, between this and then my next one. But because I've rode my next one more and rode it as well since doing Icon, it's always going to be my number 2, which it was my number 1 for a very, very long time in the UK, which is my Swarmy Baby, again at Thorpe Park. Absolutely love it. It just feels like you're flying. The restraints are fantastic on it. Like, the staff are really, really good on it, quite fast. It's a really well ran coaster. Like, if it goes down, it doesn't really go down for very long most of the time. If you go right near the start or right near the end of the day, there's pretty much no queue. The interactions on it are nice, like the theme and bits, like the fire bits, and like there's so many nice effects when they all work. Sometimes they don't all work, but there we go. And it's a pity as well about the video screens have been sort of go up and down. The whole like little story of the alien attack and how it's sort of unclear, like a news report actually probably would be in that situation. I felt it was like a really good experience as well. I like the fact that there's even like a song from it from Yumi at 6. Love Yumi at 6. Said them so many times now. Met them. Yay. Actually got a birthday card from one of them. Like, not specifically like sent through to me, but a friend met them again and got them to sign it, which was cool. Got that somewhere, God knows where. Sorry, Dan. But yeah, fantastic ride, really smooth, feels like you're flying. That first drop is just beautiful. It's just a really relaxing ride compared to a lot of other things where it's just like adrenaline. That one's more just like chill and let's fly away. We're so used to me singing now these things like that you're not even fazed by it. And then number 1, which is the new UK number 1, which you probably have already realised is my UK number 1 if you've watched the Alton Towers vlog. It's of course the Wicker Man Alton Towers. Love it, but not in every single seat in it. I don't like the back of it. The back for me, it was a little bit too rough. The middle's nice, a lot of airtime, but the front is what makes it for me. The views around it. It's got a great, nice little pre-show, which, like, I've only ridden it like 3 times, but the more you go into the pre-show, or at least the few times I went into it, again, you notice like little details, like the light up little rocks around the back as well. So actually, like, take more of a look around than just what's in front of you. in there. It's a pity it goes down a lot. And I mean, the staff do the best that they can. It's a pity that I know a lot of people have struggled to get on that ride because it is a little bit tight for some people. I did worry that I might not get on it, but I was perfectly fine on it, thankfully. But yeah, really, really good ride. I think some people underrate it quite a lot and say, oh, but it's not got this and it's not got that and everything else. But to be perfectly honest, I couldn't get what other people think. Well, I do and I don't, as in, it's interesting to find out what people think. But I know what I like, and I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree with me on things, but I'm pretty much mostly about the coaster experience, a lot more so than just the ride itself. Particularly if you have a look at my world top 10, which will be uploaded shortly, you'll see that for my number one, the coaster itself probably isn't the best coaster in the world, but I love the experience of it so much that I doubt it's going to be knocked off my top spot for a while. Although I will mention in that one the few things I think might knock it off the top spot. But yeah, that's my UK top 10. Hope you enjoyed me rambling on. What's your top 10? Like, let me know in the comments. Is there anything that I've missed out that you think oh my god, Zoe, why do you not love this coaster? Because you never know, it might actually be I've still not been to yet. For example, Oakwood, I've still not been there, so I cannot rate Megaphobia yet, for example. And then I suppose a lot of people will be like, why not Saw? Saw's a bit too rough for me. I love the theming. If you take out a few of the elements of Saw, it probably would be very high up my top 10, but it's slightly too rough for me. I'll go on it, don't get me wrong, I'll go on it, and especially Friday nights, it's a nice little atmosphere, but overall, nah. I'm going to stop waffling, and yeah, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. There is more vlogs coming. Please just bear with me. I've got to finish my masters first, and got a few videos for clients done as well. So if you're one of my clients or at an event which I filmed, then don't worry, it's coming. It is coming. It's just I have to get my master's stuff done first, and this I could literally just film and do pretty much straight after a shower and chilling. So yeah, subscribe, like the Facebook page and all that malarkey.